In January, election observers from the Carter Center witnessed an historic moment for democracy in the Middle East. The Islamic Hamas party winning a majority of seats in the Palestinian Legislative Council. At the invitation of Palestinian election authorities, the center joined with the National Democratic Institute to form an 80-member observer delegation. Led by former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, the observers visited polling stations in East Jerusalem, the West Bank, and the Gaza Strip. Living under Israeli occupation since 1967, Palestinians have held 3 democratic elections during the past decade in an effort to achieve self-rule and autonomy. This last one seen as vitally important to both the future of the Palestinian Authority and the peace process with Israel. Key issues for the voters: on the one hand, slow progress toward peace and independence, inefficiency and corruption under the long-ruling Fatah party, and on the other, a desire for change and the perception that Hamas has the organizational strength to deliver social services and govern transparently. For months, the Carter Center and NDI had monitored voter registration, campaigning, and electoral preparations. As in prior elections, observers faced questions about voter access in Israeli-ruled areas, particularly East Jerusalem.
Elections in East Jerusalem have been contentious because of the political symbolism of the city and rival claims of sovereignty. For these legislative elections, as in the past, the Israelis refused access to the city for Palestinian election officials, candidates, and campaigns, and allowed only a small number of Palestinian residents to participate with their votes cast as absentee ballots in Israeli post offices.
On Election Day, January 25th, observers were deployed to polling stations from sunrise to sundown.
The polls and stations seem to be well organized. They have all the materials. Everyone seems to know what their job is. Overall, it's been very peaceful, no major incidents or problems, and no reported abnormalities by any of the station managers.
With 77% of 1.3 million eligible Palestinians having voted, all observer groups agreed the elections were well managed and that the final vote reflected the will of the Palestinian people. The surprise outcome was a majority for Hamas, which took 74 out of 132 seats in parliament. In reaction, the United States and other nations called on Hamas to renounce violence as a first step to joining a peace process and to reverse its long-standing rejection of Israel's right to exist.
My hope is that, as I've already expressed it, that Hamas, as they assume a major role in the next government, whatever it might be, will take a position on international standards of responsibility concerning the maintenance of peace that will make it possible for governments to accept them and to communicate and deal with the new government.
The victory for Hamas signals a time of change and uncertainty, with the international community scrambling to reconcile a desire for democratic elections with a possibility that militant groups may be legitimately elected.
We are filled with gratitude for what has happened, uncertainty about what's going to happen in the near future, but a common dream of future peace and acceptance of Israel as a sovereign state and with freedom and peace and justice for the Palestinians. That's our goal.
The center's third observation of Palestinian elections is an extension of efforts to bring peace to the Middle East that began with the Camp David Accords between Egypt and Israel during the Carter administration. That commitment to peace continues today at the Carter Center, monitoring elections, promoting human rights, and resolving conflicts worldwide. This was the 62nd election monitored by the Carter Center. The peaceful, democratic, and decisive vote of the Palestinian people reflects the center's hope for democracy and self-determination for people everywhere.